Hello everybody, it's me Charlotte, and today I'm going to show you guys how to knit the diagonal cell stitch. This is a 4-row repeat, but I think it's easy. I think you guys will have no problem at all doing this. If you're a beginner, you might learn some new techniques, so that's always fun. This is the front of it. This is the back side. Not too much great going on the back, but it's still, I think, nice. This is the front. Now this stitch does tend to curl up, so if you're planning on making a placemat, I recommend blocking it. If you use acrylic, steam it out, flatten it out a little bit, because it does tend to want to curl. What else did I want to say about this? It would make, like I said, great for a placemat. Yeah, a washcloth, dishcloth. I don't know, you guys, if you put a border around it, obviously it's not going to curl. If you put like a garter stitch border or a seed stitch border around it, you could make a washcloth and it won't curl. You could also do that for a placemat, put a border around it, and I think it would look really nice. Before we get into it, I want to tell you guys real quick, thank you for everyone who has subscribed to my channel. Thank you for liking and commenting and sharing. If you haven't yet already subscribed, please do so now. And if you'd like to follow me on Facebook, I'll leave a link in the description below. Alright, I'm going to show you guys, like I said, it's a 4-row repeat. I'm going to show you guys how to knit the diagonal cell stitch. Let's get started. Today, I'm using a purple colored yarn. It may look gray on camera, but it's actually like a purple lavender color. I don't know. I think it's pretty. Let me know how it shows up on camera, because I'm not too sure. Okay, to start this, you want to cast on an odd number of stitches. And this is another one of those where you don't want your tension too tight. It will just make your life more difficult. Play around with it, and I'm sure you'll find your perfect tension that works best for you. We're just gonna cast on a few here. Like I said, you need to cast on an odd number. See, I got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13. That's enough. Okay, the first row is going to be, you're going to knit 1. Okay, now what's next is something they're referring to in the pattern as a loop stitch. And to do that, you have 2 stitches, your next 2 stitches, you want to go in between those 2 stitches. You don't want to go into a stitch, you want to go in between the stitches, like so. We've done that before here. Bring up that loop, but do not take that off your needle. Do not take that first stitch off your needle that you went in between. You're actually going to knit them. So you're going to knit this one, the first one, and the second one. You kind of got to think of it as a deal thing. I'll explain. You have your next 2 stitches. You want to go in between them. You want to bring up a stitch. Now it says to knit 2. Well, you have the 2 you just went in between. Those are the 2 you're going to knit. So you're going to knit that one as 1 and this one as 2. Okay? And you just want to keep repeating that. The next 2 stitches, you want to go in between, bring up a loop, now knit the 2 stitches that you just went in between. So 1, 2. Okay, now the next 2 stitches, same thing. You want to go in between them, wrap your needle, bring up a loop. Now you want to knit the 2 that you just went in between. So the first one is 1, second one, 2. Again, go in between the next 2 stitches, bring up a loop, now knit the first one you went in between as 1 and 2. And you want to do that to the very end. You'll have 2 stitches left at the end, and you do the same thing. You go in between them, and then you knit 1, 2. Okay, that was row 1. Row 2, we are going to purl on this side. So to begin row 2, if you're using circulars, remember to place your working yarn over top of your circulars so they don't get tangled and get stuck in the middle. I'm sure that's happened to some of you. It's happened to me several times. Okay, row 2, you want to purl 2. So to purl, we keep our working yarn in front, take our right needle, slide it into the front of the first stitch, wrap our needle counterclockwise, pull through a loop. So that's 1. We want to do 2. Okay, now we want to purl 2 together. So we're going to take our right needle and we're going to insert it into the front of the next 2 stitches, wrapping our needle counterclockwise and purling those 2 together. The next stitch will be purl 1. So the repeat for this row is purl 1, purl 2 together. And a good way to know what's next, I'll show you, is if you can see, this is my purl 1, it's next. You can see how it's kind of tight around the needle with a big loop around it. That's how you know that's going to be your purl 1. Now I'll show you the purl 2. See how the purl 2, it kind of just opens up for you to make it easy? That's how you know you need to purl the next 2 together. Next stitch is purl 1. See how it's kind of tied up against the needle? This is why I say loose tension will be your friend if you're just starting to try this stitch out. Makes it so much easier to get your needle in between those stitches. Next is a purl 1. Oops, split the yarn. Next will be a purl 2 together. A purl 1. And a purl 2 together. The last 2 stitches will be purl 2 together. Okay, that was row 2. Row 3 is going to begin like this. You're going to knit 2. So 1, 2, and now you're going to start the process of making that loop stitch, which is going in between the next 2 stitches, bringing up a loop, and now knitting those 2 stitches that you just went in between. So the first stitch is 1 and 2. Next, we go in between the next 2 stitches, bring up a loop. Now we're going to knit the 2 stitches we just went in between. So the first one is 1 and 2. Next, we go in between the next 2 stitches, bring up a loop, 1 and 2. And I will write this pattern in the description below. And when it's written out that this stitch right here is considered a loop stitch. So if the pattern says loop stitch, that's what they mean. Go in between your 2 needles, bring up a loop, and now you're going to knit the 2 stitches you just went in between. Next 2 stitches, go in between them, bring up a loop, knit those 2 stitches you just went in between, and then you'll end with just 1 stitch left on your needle, and you're just going to knit it. Okay, that was row 3. Row 4 is going to be, start out like this. You're going to purl 3 stitches. Remember, keeping your working yarn on the outside of your needles if you're using circular. You're going to purl 3 stitches. So 1, 2, 3. Now you're going to purl 2 together. And see how that stitch kind of opened up? That's how I know the next 2 stitches are purled together. Then we're going to purl 1, purl 2 together. So that's the repeat. Purl 2 together, purl 1. Purl 2 together, purl 1, purl 2 together, purl 1, purl 2 together, and purl 1. And that was row 4. And then you just want to start over again with row 1. But can you see the little pattern we're getting? It's very nice. I love how it goes. Well, it's diagonal self stitch, so I guess it does work in the diagonal way. So you can see here. I really do enjoy this stitch, and I think you guys are going to have fun with it because it is, once you get going and you have your tension right, it goes fast and it's fun to do. So I encourage you all to at least try it. If you would like to make a placemat or a washcloth, I suggest making a border around it with either garter stitch or seed stitch. That will prevent it from rolling. You could do a scarf, you could do even a blanket if you would like. Just make a border around it. But that's it for today, guys. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do so now. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you would like to follow me on Facebook, that link will be in the description below. And so will the pattern for this stitch. I'll put that in the description below too for you guys. Until next time, guys, I hope you all have a super wonderful, fabulous day, and happy knitting. Bye!